guys, welcome back to the channel. Boy, do we have a recap with Married at First Sight, Season 9, Episode 22, and this is the Australia version. And yeah, we had a clash in this episode between brides at the couples retreat, so much so that a glass was actually smashed. So before we jump into this, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash the like button, and also feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's jump into this recap. So boy, did we have a crazy commitment ceremony, and especially with the experts, how they really handed it to Carolina. So we see her now visiting Dion, and she's telling him, let's put in an effort to build a friendship. Yeah, I would give her the side eye on that, but Dion is too willing to be friendly and also build this so-called friendship. I mean, seriously, did he forget everything that has happened this past week? But okay. However, they did decide to see where it take them, and they actually hugged it out. I don't know. We talked about this on the live yesterday, and if you haven't joined our lives, you need to check them out. Good stuff. But yeah, I don't know what Dion is thinking about here. But let's talk about what did happen. So with no surprise, Carolina is still messaging back and forth with Daniel, and is planning on meeting up with him despite being cheated on by an ex in the past herself. So they did catch up again over cocktails, and he's talking about how nice she looks and her green dress, and I guess that was an attempt to give her a compliment. But it's definitely clear that Daniel, who has at least 3 shirts unbuttoned, he is definitely having no problem flirting with Carolina. And then they caught on camera her saying how their connection is so intense, and we're touchy and we're open, and of course Daniel is definitely into her, and we see him going in for a kiss. Carolina though give him a kiss on the cheek because she said, you know what, we need to wait a little bit, like that song, Let's Wait a While. But I think, by the way, she meant wait a little longer. I think she meant probably like a half an hour. So when they did disappear, or so they think, because the cameras got all of this, this is where they decide to share a kiss. And Carolina is talking about how hot it was and how she likes it. And Daniel talking about how he getting horny. And, Carolina talking about how he's a naughty boy. Yeah. Here's the thing. And I've been looking at some of the comments, and you guys actually think all of this is staged. Because my thing is, what this supposed to be Married at First Sight, about building marriages, yet production and the cameras got a camera on these two, and you putting it out for content. It gives me the side eye on production. But let's get back to Dion. So him being back in his own apartment, Dion is just so holding on to hope that he'll be able to make his relationship with Carolina work. And I'm like, yeah, that's real wishful thinking. Wait till he find out what's really going on. Let's talk about our next couple. So Domenica and Jack and their apartment, she's still upset about her being called out as a bully by Olivia at that commitment ceremony, talking about that's the worst possible thing anybody could ever say. And I don't even want to see them in the hallway. I mean, she was just really not feeling that whole thing. But Olivia ain't backing down either, because she sees Dominica as a yapping chihuahua. So with Brent and Tamara, he surprises her with a bunch of beautiful flowers, and initially she is excited, that is, until she reads the card addressed to Mrs. Vitiello. And she thought that was a lot because she's trying to take things slow when it comes to relationships. And I'm like, you signed up to be married, so I didn't get it. But there's another issue with another couple, and that's Sam and Al. So, over at their apartment, he garners enough courage to talk about her writing leave at the recent commitment ceremony. And that didn't go so well. So, this is what Al tries to tell her, that he's been deep with her and tried to talk to her, but she keeps getting moody, and then he goes back into his shell when that happens. She turns around and snaps at him, talking about how you turning this on me. That's not how this happened. You haven't asked once much about me. And I'm like, what? That boy been putting in work. And Al was like, I should be the one writing leave the way that I've been treated, the temper that you have. So that makes this whole thing even worse, because she says that by him saying that, that's painting her as an a-hole. Are you joking? No, he ain't joking. She said that statement was attacking her personality. She called him nasty. I'm not an aggressive person. I'm a nice person, which gives me a Alyssa vibe every time I hear that. And she's passionate. And Al is not backing down. He's staying by his words, and which of course makes Sam even more angry. And then she turned around and calls him a joke, and then she walked out. And I'm like, you're not noticing all the work that this man is putting in to try to be with you. Of course he felt blindsided because he was putting in the work, even though, his maturity level is not there yet. But you gotta see the progression. But yeah, Sam, you need somebody else. These two do not need to be together. But this conversation leads us to the couple retreat. So let's talk about that. So the couples head off to the retreat, which is the next part of this experiment. And we see, of course, Carolina is not wanting to sleep with Dion, but she's got a bigger issue, and that's Dominica. And so far, the plan is to, I think she said, drown her in the pool. Yeah, Carolina might need another plan instead. And of course, Olivia too has concerns about her, saying that if she does come for me on this retreat, I ain't holding back. Meanwhile, Dominica is having her own issues with her husband, because she's actually talking to the girls and telling them how her and her husband hasn't had sex in almost 2 weeks. It's been ages, and he never makes me feel sexy, and it's very confronting. And she talks about how, as an Italian, I can say volume control is not one of my strengths. And of course, it's definitely no surprise that while Jack is playing with the guys, he overheard everything. And because she hasn't actually spoken with him about all of these issues, he feels blindsided. Because in his mind, he thought they were in a good place. And it hurt him. He felt like crap, and I don't blame him. Now, the information did get back to Dominica, and I think it was Brent that told her. And she claimed she felt horrible about it, so she went to find Jack. Jack told her, I never thought it was malicious, but I thought, we made a turn, and I was making you feel beautiful. And she comes back saying, well, it's just that I don't feel wanted by you. I mean, we don't have those conversations. And I'm like, you the one don't make him feel wanted. Remember what happened at Matt and Kate's wedding? Yeah, okay. Now, the whole dog thing, that was cute. It brought tears. But how did she think that he didn't? I don't get it. Anyway, he gets pissed off. and told her to F off. And she was like, I'm not going to F off, which I think that went way left. And then she turned around and said, you know what, I will F off. And then she got up and she left. And tell him, don't you ever tell me that again, even if it was a figure of speech. And I'm like, you should have had a conversation with him and not the women. That, I mean, if you got issues with this man in the bedroom, go talk to him. Stop putting him on blast in front of other people. I mean, she just, ooh. Anyway, let's talk about this whole boys and girls night. So the guys decided to raid Dion's closet and walk around in his clothes and hats. They're pretty much having a good time, updating phone backgrounds to be pictures of one another, okay? And then we even see Al decided to strip down and jump into a very dirty, murky pond nearby. Yeah, but overall, they were having a great time. However, girls' night went a little bit different. So after Dominica shared all her issues about her sex life with Jack, Olivia decides to fill everyone on her sexual excursion. She actually said that she had the most intense orgasm that she's ever had that afternoon, and that she pretty much blacked out. And I'm hoping that she's being honest and telling the truth about this, because I can guarantee you there's a lot of women that wanted to have what she's having. On the flip side, and it's getting a little tense between Carolina and Dominica because of everything that happened at the commitment ceremony, because she was talking about how she wasn't giving advice. She was just plainly saying, what the heck did I see? And how she felt that she didn't treat Dion like a human being. You don't like him, but that doesn't mean you got to be a B to him. And Carolina clapped back, telling her, well, that don't mean you got to be a B to me either. I mean, things escalate even further because Olivia decided to jump in this, telling her, choose your words really carefully, because when you swear, and then, of course, Dominica cut her off, saying that I hate to be told to use my words carefully. You know, I mean, I choose the words because they're my words, and I'm going to choose to say them the way I want to. Olivia brought up the whole commitment ceremony again, which Dominica calls, oh, this is boring, it's boring. And she was like, you know what, Dom, I'm sick of hearing you yell all the effing time. I mean, I'm sick of your voice, you yelling. I'm bored of your effing voice. I mean, she went crazy with this. It seemed like, I don't know, it was produced, but she was like, I'm losing my mind. That's all I hear all the effing time. All I've heard you do tonight is yell. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm trying to speak and you're just sitting there and I'm bored. And it's just really rude. And I'm like, you hear that away from her? You hearing her voice in your head? Yeah, that's not a good thing. Dominica tells her, that's just the way I talk. What can you do about it? And Olivia's like, okay, well, I don't care if that's the way you talk. It's not okay. Oh, my voice ain't okay? Apparently not. I mean, they're just going back and forth. So much so that, you know, she started crying and she's pissed off and she dropping F-bombs like crazy. And this is when, in that whole rage scenario, she pick up a wine glass and decide to smash it on the table. And she continues to yell. And she's talking about how it's driving her crazy. And, I mean, people are looking at her like, okay, we need to take 5 minutes. I mean, she was screaming. Olivia was yelling. She's inconsolable, Dominica. And, I mean, she walks off. And, you know, Olivia pretty much stands by her actions, you know. Now, I find it interesting, she said, I dished it out to her what she dishes out to everybody else. And I think the proof is in the pudding, because when she dish it, she also can't take it. And yeah, this is not over by the least. So what do you guys think? Everything between the whole filming of Daniel and Carolina, everything that happened with Olivia and Dominica. I mean, some of this stuff is like it's unfreaking believable. Because I mean, even with the whole thing with Carolina and with Daniel, the cameras was there to take all that in. So was this stage? And a lot of people are saying that in the comment section of the actual episode. And then with this whole thing with Olivia talking about how she can be real nasty at times, and this whole thing about how she hears Dominica's voice in her head all the time, this whole thing with Dominica breaking this glass. It's crazy. The only thing that I will say that sounds really interesting to me is the fact that when it comes to people giving her criticism, meaning Dom, she can't take it. But she's more than happy to dish it out. Whether people are coming from her from a place of productive criticism or if they're just flat out wrong, she can't take it. But she loves dishing it out to whoever, whenever, and whatever. So, I mean, it's interesting. I know there's some Team Dominicas out there, Dom supporters. And then there's some other folks that's like, Dom need to go sit down somewhere. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section about all of this in this video. Because it was pretty interesting, but some of it looked a little bit too dramatized to be realistic. So I don't know, but I enjoyed the episode, and I hope you did too. So I hope you enjoyed this recap video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.